I've explored plenty of abandoned places. Crumbling castles in Scotland, shuttered hotels in Wales, and old Victorian factories in London. Each had its own story, its own history, but nothing had ever felt alive. Hallowden was different. I first heard about it through a Reddit thread buried deep in the travel forums. Someone wrote, "Go there if you dare. Don't leave anything behind and never leave alive." I laughed it off. The comment had 0 upvotes, but the word stuck. Later that night I searched the name, Hallowden. Nothing. Just a single blurry photo of a village lane veiled in fog, a crumbling church steeple in the distance, and a newspaper clipping dated 1892 titled "The Silence of Hallowden." The more I read, the more I couldn't resist. I booked a train from Salisbury, packed my cameras, and headed into the Wiltshire countryside. My followers were expecting a typical abandoned village vlog. They didn't know I'd found one that had literally vanished from the maps. The taxi ride from Salisbury station to the outskirts of the village was strange. My driver, a man in his 60s with soft gray hair and a deep Wiltshire accent, fell silent when I mentioned Hallowden. "You sure you want to go there?" he asked, eyes darting to the rearview mirror. "It's just a village, abandoned," I said. "Abandoned, yes, but some things that disappear want to stay disappeared." I laughed nervously. He dropped me at the last paved road, pointing down a narrow path swallowed by fog. A sign, half rotted and covered in moss, read, "Hallowden, 2 miles." The road curved into dense woods. The fog wrapped around the trees like wet sheets. I strapped my GoPro to my chest and whispered into the camera, "Hey guys, Ava here. Today, we're going somewhere that technically doesn't exist anymore." The first cottages appeared after nearly 30 minutes of walking. Stone walls blackened by moss, windows boarded, roofs sagging. Lanterns hung outside, swinging slightly, though there was no wind. I approached the nearest one. Its door was ajar. Inside smelled of mildew and smoke. Dust coated everything, chairs, tables, even a tiny wooden cradle. On a side table lay a brass handbell, tarnished and cold. I lifted it carefully. It rang. Not from me, not a vibration, a single, sharp note that echoed like it came from the walls themselves. My camera captured it. My pulse spiked. Footsteps? Maybe. Or the house itself moving. The air thickened, pressing against my chest. Then I saw footprints in the dust, small, bare, leading deeper into the cottage, and then out the back door, disappearing into the fog. Outside, the fog was heavier now, curling through the alleyways. Faint murmurs floated in the air, too soft to understand. I followed the footprints toward the village square. At the center, a dried fountain sat under a cracked church steeple. The bells were gone. Chains dangled from the rafters like skeletal fingers. I pulled my drone from my bag, lifted it above the square. The live feed flickered, static cutting through the picture. Then a group of shapes appeared near the fountain. Tiny, human, but distorted. When I glanced back, the square was empty. The silence pressed against my ears until I could hear my own heartbeat loud enough to drown everything. Then a voice, soft, like a memory, whispered from the fog. "Don't stay after dusk." I spun around. Nothing. Only fog. Only silence. I should have left. I didn't. I was too curious. "Let's check the church," I whispered into the camera. The fog swallowed my words. At the church door, I hesitated. Something in the air, a low vibration, made my skin crawl. But I pushed it open. Inside, the smell of damp stone and something metallic, faintly like old blood, hit me immediately. The pews were intact, but the dust was thick, hundreds of years of forgotten life. Then I noticed it. The altar. A staircase behind it. leading down. Carved into the stone, "The listeners hear what you think." My breath caught. I grabbed my flashlight, whispered into the mic, "Guys, I'm not kidding. This wasn't here on the maps. This staircase, it wasn't here before." I descended. The stone steps were slick with moss. The air got warmer, damp, almost alive. At the bottom was a chamber. Shelves lined the walls with bells, hundreds of them, each marked with a name. I picked one up. Emily Reed, 1887. Thomas Blythe, 1902. Ava Grant, 2025. My own name. I dropped it. My flashlight flickered. Footsteps echoed from nowhere. Figures formed in the fog at the edges of the chamber, pale, faceless, silent, all holding bells, all staring at me. I ran, up the staircase, out into the foggy square. The lanterns now glowed brightly, as if lit from within. Whispers grew louder, faint chanting, like hundreds of voices humming a lullaby. I realized then that Hallowden wasn't abandoned, it was waiting. And it had been waiting for me. The fog clung to my skin as I ran from the church steps. My lungs burned, my legs trembled, but I couldn't stop. Every shadow seemed alive, bending and twisting as I passed. I stumbled into the village square. The fountain, cracked and dry, glowed faintly. I shined my flashlight over it and froze. There were footprints around the fountain. Not mine, small, barefoot, wet. And they led toward one of the cottages that looked more intact than the others. I followed cautiously, whispering into my mic, "Guys, I don't know what I'm seeing. These footprints, I didn't make them. Someone or something is here." The cottage door opened before I could touch it. No wind, no push, just open. Inside, the air was warm, musty, almost sweet, like burning incense mixed with earth. The walls were lined with old photographs, faces of villagers, smiling, frozen in time. But something was off. Every face's eyes were blacked out. A tattered journal lay on a wooden table. I picked it up. The first page read, "They hear everything, your thoughts, your fears. They choose the one to carry the voice. The hollow village never forgets." I shivered. Then I noticed a large map pinned to the wall. Red X's marked several locations, all near the village. Handwritten notes next to each. Taken, silent, the voice chosen. My heart pounded. I flipped through more pages. The listeners demand tribute. The fog is their veil. Those who resist never return. A sudden noise made me drop the journal. A soft, deliberate tapping from above. I looked up. The ceiling beams had small holes. Tiny eyes, dozens, peered down at me. Not human, not fully. Their shape, wrong. The tapping grew into a rhythm. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I grabbed my camera, whispered into the lens. "Guys, there's something watching me. I don't know what it wants." Then the air shifted. A smell of iron and wet soil flooded the room. From the shadows, figures emerged, cloaked in black, faces hidden, hands holding small bells. Their steps were silent, but the tapping in the ceiling continued. A woman stepped forward, pale skin, eyes white as frost, lips cracked. She raised a finger, pointing at me. "The voice has come. You will hum, as all voices hum. The listeners have chosen." My chest tightened. I realized then that this wasn't just a village. It was a ritual ground, a place where the living became vessels for something ancient, something that fed on fear and sound. I ran, out of the cottage, into the fog. Lanterns flickered on and off, guiding me in loops. Every time I tried to leave, I found myself back in the village square. Whispers surrounded me, soft, almost seductive. "Ava, you belong here. Ava, hum. Ava, join us." I stumbled into the church again, camera recording every step. The fog inside moved like liquid, curling around the pews. And then I saw them, hundreds of shadows forming from the mist, each holding a bell, eyes black, staring, waiting. I ran. My flashlight flickered. My GoPro's battery drained in seconds. Then I heard the faintest sound, my own voice, coming from the mist. "Don't stay after dusk." I froze. It wasn't me. Not entirely. From the shadows, a figure approached, smaller than the rest, a child, pale, barefoot, holding a bell labeled "Next Voice, Ava Grant." I screamed. The child smiled. The fog thickened, and I realized the village had chosen me. I ran outside, thinking I could escape through the forest, but the path had disappeared. The trees bent unnaturally, forming walls. Lanterns floated in the mist like eyes. The whispers grew louder, shaping into words I couldn't understand, yet felt in my bones. "Hum, hum now. Hum forever." My heartbeat echoed in my ears. I clutched my camera, praying it would record something, anything. Then the whispers became a chorus, and I knew the listeners were everywhere. They had been waiting for me all along. I woke up gasping, drenched in sweat. My camera was on the floor beside me, still recording. The church was silent. Too silent. But the fog outside had changed. It wasn't just fog. It moved. Thick, slow, curling around the trees and buildings, almost like it had a pulse. I tried to retrace my steps, thinking maybe I could finally escape. I ran past the cottages, same fog, same twisted trees. Only one thing was different. The footprints, bare, small, and fresh, leading toward the church again. No matter which way I turned, I ended up at the village square. Lanterns flickered on and off, casting shadows that stretched like fingers. Whispers floated in the air, soft at first, then rising into a low hum, echoing in my chest. I screamed into the camera. "Guys, this isn't real. I'm walking in circles. I can't escape." Then I saw her, the old woman from the cottage, standing at the edge of the fog. Pale, skin stretched tight over bones, eyes completely white. Her lips moved, but I couldn't hear words, only felt them. The message vibrating inside my mind. "You belong to the village. You are chosen. Hum." My vision blurred. When I blinked, I was inside the church again. Not just inside, at the altar. The staircase I had descended earlier now led to a larger chamber, deeper underground. The walls were lined with shelves, hundreds of bells. Each bell had a name. And then I saw it. My name. Ava Brandt, 2025. I stumbled back. Every bell trembled slightly, as if alive. A chorus of whispers surrounded me, repeating one word over and over. Hum. I tried to leave. The staircase seemed endless now. Every step down took me further into darkness. My flashlight flickered and died. My camera lens fogged over. Then the floor beneath me shook. Figures began to emerge from the shadows, faceless, cloaked, holding bells. Their hands stretched toward me. I ran, but the floor twisted. The ceiling dropped. The walls closed in. I tripped and fell. My hand brushed against something soft, alive. It was the child from the square, holding a bell. Their eyes, black and hollow, staring directly into my own. Hum, it whispered. Panic took over. I screamed, but the sound didn't leave my mouth. It was swallowed by the fog, absorbed into the village. And then I heard it, my own voice whispering behind me, echoing every fear I had. I turned to see dozens of shadows forming in the chamber, each one holding a bell, all staring at me. Their whispers were now a chorus, pressing into my mind, wrapping around my thoughts. Hum, hum, hum. I tried to flee upward, but the stairs led downward again. Every attempt to escape brought me back here. The village was a loop, a trap, and the more I struggled, the stronger the whispers became. Then I noticed the walls. Faces began to appear in the stone. Past visitors, lost travelers, all frozen mid-scream. Some looked like me, others like the child. The old woman appeared among them, smiling. The listeners don't just watch, they choose. You are next. A cold hand gripped my shoulder. I spun around. No one was there. But the bell in the child's hand rang, a sharp, piercing sound that echoed in my mind. Suddenly, the chamber went dark. My camera recorded only static, but I could hear my own whispers, coming from the lens, from the fog, from the village itself. Hum, hum, hum. I realized then, the village didn't want me to leave. It didn't just trap my body, it trapped my mind, my voice, my very being. And deep down, I understood the horrifying truth. I was becoming the next voice. The fog swallowed me completely. It wasn't just mist, it had weight, like wet silk pressing against my skin, whispering through my hair, crawling into my ears. Every breath I took carried it deeper into my lungs. I stumbled through the village square, but the houses were no longer in the same place. The fountain had doubled in size. The lanterns now lined the streets like watchful eyes. Shadows flickered along the walls, impossible shapes, twisting in ways human anatomy shouldn't allow. Then I saw them, the villagers, or what they had become. Pale, gaunt, eyes blacked out, bells in hand, silently standing along the alleyways. They didn't move at first, just stared. And then, as I approached, they began to hum. Not a melody, just a low vibration that settled into my chest and rattled my bones. I remembered the journal from the cottage, the one that spoke of the listeners. The fog was alive. It wasn't just a trap. It was the cult's medium. It could manipulate space, bend reality, and most importantly, steal your mind. Ava, a voice called from the mist. I spun around. There in the center of the square was the old woman, taller now, her eyes shining white, lips cracking as she spoke. They have chosen you. You will hum, and through you, they will speak. I realized the village wasn't abandoned. The villagers weren't dead. They were vessels trapped in the fog, their wills erased, their bodies puppets for something older than time itself. I tried to run. My legs burned. Every path I took led me back to the same church, the same cellar staircase. The fog thickened, curling into faces, hundreds of them, whispering my fears aloud. Inside the cellar, the walls were lined with hundreds of bells, some small, delicate, others large, heavy, carved with names spanning centuries. And at the far end, a wall of mirrors, every mirror showing me older versions of myself, twisted, screaming, trapped. Then the chanting began, low at first, then rising, filling every corner of the chamber. Hum, hum, hum. The old woman appeared again, stepping out of the mirrors, pointing at me. Her voice cut through my skull. The voices keep the village alive. You are next. I backed into a corner, but one of the cloaked figures, a child this time, held out a bell toward me. It trembled. I could hear my own heartbeat in it, each thump syncing with the fog's humming. I understood then. If I rang it, I would join them. Not physically, mentally. My consciousness, my mind, my very voice would become part of the village's eternal chorus. I didn't want to, but the fog was smarter than me. It whispered doubts, replayed memories of my family, my travels, my fears, twisting them into nightmares I couldn't escape. Every escape attempt folded back on itself. Then the mirrors. They showed the future. I saw myself, smiling faintly, holding a bell, standing among the villagers, hum vibrating through the fog, feeding the cycle. I screamed. The camera fell from my hands, recording everything. I ran upstairs, out into the square, but the fog enveloped me completely. Lanterns twisted into grotesque faces. Shadows danced, whispering my name over and over. Hum, Ava, hum. And then a faint clearing in the fog. A glimpse of the English countryside, freedom, hope. I ran towards it, my heart hammering, only to see the village shift like water, closing in behind me. I realized the truth. There was no escape. The fog, the village, the cult, the listeners, they were all one, and I was already part of it. The last thing I remember before losing consciousness was the bell in the child's hand, ringing exactly like my own heartbeat as the whispers swallowed me completely. Hum, hum, hum. I woke up staring at darkness. No church, no village, no fog, just black. Then my phone buzzed. A notification. My YouTube channel. Confused, I unlocked it. There it was. A new video. Hallowden, the truth beneath the village. I didn't upload it. I didn't schedule it. Yet there it was, posted from my account, time-stamped exactly 3 days after my last vlog. Curiosity won over fear. I tapped play. The video began innocently. Me walking down the misty path toward Hallowden. My usual cheerful greeting to the camera, my signature smiles. But something was off. My eyes didn't match mine. Too wide, too vacant. As the video progressed, shadows moved behind me, ones I hadn't seen. Hints of pale figures flickering at the edges. And then I realized I remembered nothing from this footage. Every second felt alien. Comments started flooding in almost immediately. Her eyes. It's not her. At 12:37 she turns. I swear she's staring into my room. Why is the sound humming? Humming. I heard it too, faintly from my own phone speakers. Not in the video, coming from the room. Then notifications popped up. DMs, live streams, texts, all from followers who had watched the video. I saw her last night. The fog followed me home. I heard her voice whispering. A chill ran down my spine. My channel analytics showed a spike. Thousands of viewers within minutes. My private messages flooded with reports of strange phenomena, cameras turning on, footsteps at night, faint humming inside homes. Then the phone rang. Unknown number. A distorted, childlike voice whispered, "Hum, Ava, hum." I dropped the phone. It landed on the screen, live feed active. Not from me, from my own living room. And behind me, in the reflection of the window, I saw her. Not me. The version of me from the village, pale, hollow-eyed, smiling faintly, holding a small tarnished bell. I screamed, but the sound didn't leave my throat. The hum rose to a deafening level, vibrating through my skull as the village, somehow, somewhere, reached through the screen. Weeks later, the police found my apartment empty. The camera, tripod, and laptop still running. the latest vlog playing on repeat. The timestamp, 3:16 a.m. The comments kept growing. Copy after copy of the cursed video spread across Reddit, TikTok, and dark web forums. Every person who watched it reported the same thing: footsteps in their house, shadows in mirrors, and a humming that never stopped. And somewhere in England's fog-covered village, the old woman smiled. The listeners had claimed another voice. Thank you for watching. The video's description read, "Your turn to hum."